back with Dena Simonds of the Helping Hands Against Violence, and where I kind of wanted to pick up this segment was talking about those, do you refer to them as patients, clients? How do you refer to
survivors?
Survivors, okay. So when survivors come to you and they've actually, or come to your organization rather, and have actually, are enduring physical, I don't know, maybe broken bones or cuts or all kinds of things, I would assume. How do you guys handle that?
If we're taking an intake and there's been physical violence that needs medical attention, then definitely we partner with them and we meet them at the ER.
Okay.
So we see a lot of clients there, and then if they need transportation to the ER, we will work with them to get them transportation there. Sometimes we do intakes in our facility, but definitely there's oftentimes a medical need.
Okay.
So, and we just meet them at the ER, do the intake there, make sure that those services are met for them, and then bring them into shelter that evening.
So if somebody shows up at the ER and they have, signs of abuse, and they're not comfortable, or they're scared possibly to admit what's really happening, do you guys get calls from the ER saying, we'd like you to come down and check this out?
We do. We partner with a lot of local agencies, law enforcement through our Divert program. The ER, they oftentimes call us. The Victims Advocate facility that's part of the court system in Hood River. So we have a lot of partnerships in the community that they reach out to us when they see signs. Something
suspicious. You guys have a really interesting safety plan too, and something that during the break we were discussing, which I hadn't even thought of, is ways that people can know how to delete the cookies that are left on their computers, so that maybe their abuser doesn't find out that they've been researching help or something like that. Tell me about the safety plan.
Well, what we always recommend when somebody calls our hotline is that there's steps that they should absolutely take so that their abuser doesn't know where they're at. We are in an undisclosed location, and that is for the safety of the clients. So, if the person, oftentimes they're very overbearing and they really want to find out where you've gone. So we recommend things like deleting the history on your browser history, so that they can't find out where you've been searching. We ask that you take important paperwork with you, things like birth certificates, social security cards, things that you're going to need to help us gain services for you, but definitely not leaving things around that your abuser could just pick up and figure out where you've gone, because the idea is that you need to be in a healing environment and without them knowing where you're physically at.
Right. Do you guys see survivors, as you put it, that are actually still in denial that they're in a situation where their life could be threatened, or at least their well-being is certainly being threatened?
Certainly. And our advocates are trained to help them with that. We also offer counseling services, and our counselors able to delve to the bottom of the problem and help them understand and look at it in a different light. A lot of times these women have lived in situations where they've got jealous spouses or jealous boyfriends that are very controlling, do things like look at the mileage on their car to ensure that they've only been to the store, make random calls throughout the day. Oftentimes they make the survivor believe that their family is against them, that their friends are against them, that they're actually the ones being overbearing. They really, really work on making the woman's self-esteem low, so that they can be in control of the situation. And those are all signs that people should be looking for in their family and friends, to just ensure that everybody's safe and happy around them.
So mentally, the abuser just really works them over.
They do.
What about the children? And do you guys offer counseling and support for the children as well?
We do. We don't have as many services for the children as we would like to have, unfortunately. We have our program's been around for 32 years, and we've really tried to make our core program be about the survivors. And in the last 5 years, we've really tried to have more services geared towards the children. What we run into oftentimes is funding to be able to support those programs long term, as well as the other programs that we have, because funding is really a challenge in the nonprofit world, especially in a down economy. About 70% of our budget is grant funded, and probably 50% of that is non-competitive grants. So we really receive money, depends on how much each year, but we rely heavily on the community and our fundraising efforts and such. So we do have long-term goals to have more services for our children, but we've started like an art therapy program for them, and we do have counseling services that are geared towards children, but we don't offer as many services as we'd like to, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that is something, though, that you guys are always trying to increase.
It is.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about, for Helping Hands Against Violence, how is abuse defined?
Well, it's got a lot of different faces, and it's not black and white, and it affects all walks of life. So abuse to us is a person that is being manipulated, that it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be a combination of both. It usually, it's happened over a course of a long period of time. And so for us, it's just women and children being in situations that are not healthy. And so it doesn't necessarily mean physical for us. And we really want to strengthen our survivors so that they can live healthy, happy lives. I mean, everybody deserves that opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, Denise Brown, who obviously has garnered a lot of media attention because of the death of her sister, Nicole Brown Simpson, she was on the show, and she was talking a little bit about how, family members and loved ones of people who are being abused might see things, but they don't necessarily feel it's their place to intervene. And so what would you say to people who maybe suspect something's going on, but feel like, it's not my life, it's maybe not really my place? What if I jump in and say something and just make something worse?
Right. It's a really common thing. And people get embarrassed, and even, they don't know how to help. So we definitely offer some counseling services for members that believe that there's other folks in their families that are going through these kinds of trying times. It's tricky, though, because in order to take somebody in and do an intake into our facility, it actually has to be the person that's making the call. But like I said, we do have counseling services, and there's certainly signs. Many times, if you feel that there's something happening, there is something happening.
Something happening. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just through communication and trying to get them into at least a counseling program somewhere to help them through deal with these sorts of things.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll continue to learn more when we return, you guys. Dena Simonds is on the program with Helping Hands Against Violence. Be right back.